Justin Owen, President and CEO of the Beacon Center, our state's free market think tank.
You, like I, read this story today in the or over the weekend about the TVA and about pensions. Yet again, another story about unfunded pensions. It's ratepayers that are going to be on the hook, it looks like. Give me, what's the problem here? Why do we keep seeing these stories over and over again?
This story is just symptomatic of a larger problem when it comes to government or quasi-government entities and their pension systems. It's an antiquated system, it's an outdated system. The private sector has moved away from pensions for a reason. You now have a 401k or something like that in the private sector, but you still get a pension when you work for government. And really what it amounts to is political promises. And now we're seeing that many of these political promises that you'll have X amount of money after you retire, or you'll get an 8% return on your investment, they're empty promises, and politicians cannot continue to make these promises and keep them. Someone else has to pay the price, whether it's taxpayers when it comes to state government pensions or federal government pensions, or in this case with TVA, it's the ratepayers who have to step in and bail them out.
What's the answer? I mean, we're down the road. You can't break promises you've made to people that are anticipating a pension. What can be done?
Well, the biggest thing that has to be done now is we have to stop making these promises for the future, because we can't afford it. We can't even afford the obligations that are already out there, whether it's TVA or state government pensions or whatever it is. The unfunded liabilities are dramatic. If you look at state pension systems, for instance, we're looking at $2.5 to $4 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And now you have states like Illinois going to the federal government saying, hey, give us a bailout, pay for our pension system, which states like Tennessee would be harmed by that. If, for instance, Illinois and California and other states were bailed out of their pension systems, we're looking at something like $8,000 a household here in Tennessee to pay for that. We can't afford that. And then with TVA, for example, you've got about a $4.5 billion unfunded obligation, yet they continue to make promises. So what needs to happen is, at least for future workers, anyone hired after X date, you have to say, we're going to convert you from a defined benefit plan where a politician or the employer, in this case TVA, says you get a certain amount regardless of what you put in, as long as you work so many hours or so many years. What we need to do is say, you're going to have a defined contribution plan, and you put in a certain amount and we will match that. And therefore it's a joint effort, just like it is in the private sector, like with the 401k. You've got more portability, you've got more flexibility, and it's best not only for the worker but also for taxpayers or ratepayers.